Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Sneha Nair and today we'll be starting with semester 5 physical chemistry, paper number 303, unit 3 part B, which is called as polymer chemistry. I'm sure in the last lectures that we have studied about the copolymers, the classification of polymers and the biopolymers or the biodegradable polymers you would have gone through. And now in this coming lecture, we'll be starting with the most important topic, which is called as the types of polymerization. Now, before entering into types of polymerization, let us just quickly revise what we understood by polymer. Polymer was nothing but a Greek origin word wherein poly meant many and mers means unit. So when a lot of monomer units are combining with one another, they resulted into the formation of polymers. Now, when we were studying the classification of polymers, we had gone through that there occurs the polymers on the basis of different types. So the very first type of polymerization technique. Now polymerization technique is nothing but the way how the polymer has resulted. As in, when two or different monomer units are combining with one another, how is it resulting into a polymer? That is called as a polymerization technique. Conversion of a monomer unit into a polymer unit by a series of reactions. Now, there are basically two different types of polymerization reactions. The very first is called as the addition polymerization reaction. In other words, it is also called as or referred as chain growth polymerization. Now, if you would have gone through some reference books of yours, you would have understood that generally it is mentioned also by the other name, which is called as a chain growth polymerization. Now, addition or the chain growth polymerization technique is one such polymerization technique wherein a polymer is formed when the monomeric units will act towards one another. For example, if I say in simplest way of understanding, if I have a normal X monomer unit, if for example I'm saying I have a normal X monomer unit, and this X monomer unit is again combining with another X unit as in C. The units remain the same. So X if here it is a monomer, it is again going to combine with the same monomer only, which is again an X. So that when a stepwise series of reactions are occurring, that will result into the formation of an addition or a chain growth polymerization. The second important technique of polymerization, that is the formation of a polymer, is called as the condensation polymerization technique. In other words, which is also referred as the step growth polymerization. Now, the step growth is a bit different technique of polymerization, wherein what happens is, see, the step growth polymerization will involve the stepwise intermolecular condensation of molecules taking place by obviously a series of independent reactions. Now, what do you mean by condensation? We have gone through, we have studied also in the last lecture. And if not, please go and refer to the previous section slides which I've made for you guys. We already know that stepwise, what happens in condensation processes? Whenever two different monomer units are going to combine with one another, what they will do is they will condense. And the moment they're condensing with one another, what will happen is they will lose a lot of things. For example, it can lose water, it can lose ammonia, it can lose hydrochloric acid, which is nothing but H2O, it can have NH3, and it can also have hydrochloric acid, which is HCl. Now, depending on the two different monomers unit that you have taken into consideration, they will be able to release what exactly, either water, either ammonia, or either hydrochloric acid. So this was just the basis of two types of polymerization technique that is specifically there in your course of Gujarat University. And now we will just have a quick revision of what is the difference between an addition and the condensation polymerization technique. Now, if I talk about the difference between the addition and condensation polymerization, see, the very first thing is going to remain the same. As we have started, it will obviously proceed by a chain mechanism. Now, addition polymerization, because like I discussed, there will be three different types of polymers, or one different monomer units that will be combining with one another. So when a single monomer unit is simultaneously combining with the same monomer unit, that type of polymerization was called as addition polymerization. So what will happen is there will be a chain mechanism. Now the chain mechanism is further divided into three different stages. The very first turn out to be the initiation stage. The second turn out to be the chain propagation stage. And the third one will be called as a chain termination. See, what will happen is in the initiation state, the initiator will react with the monomer unit that we want to make a polymer of. In the chain propagation, what will happen is because the monomer unit has already been initiated by help of initiator, what will happen is then it will combine with the another monomer units of the same type and it will try and propagate the chain. And the third, which is obviously called as the chain termination, means now further no monomer units can join with one another. And so what they will do is they will terminate the reaction, means that is the polymer has already been formed. While on the contrary, if I talk about the condensation polymerization, it will have an equilibrium step mechanism. Means what? That is, it is comparatively slower. Why slower? Because in the case of addition polymerization, generally we take into consideration the same type of monomer units. While in the case of condensation polymerization, two different monomer units are going to combine with one another. So the moment two different monomer units are going to combine, they will be a slower technique. See, the simplest way of understanding is, if for example I am an X type of person, if I want to do friendship with some Y type of person, I need to adjust, you know, in lot of techniques, in lot of way of expressing myself, in my nature. So similarly, condensation, what is happening is two different monomer units are combining, so obviously they will have a different type of one another, so they need to what, they need to adjust with one another. The moment they're adjusting to form a polymer, what will happen is it will be a slower technique or a slower process in comparison to the chain growth one. Then the second point is, at every subsequent level, only one repeating unit has to be added. Okay. However, in the case of condensation, any two species can react with the, and then the elimination, and any two species are going to react with one another, and then it will lead to the elimination of some byproduct. Like I discussed in the previous slide, the byproducts can be either in the case of water, can be in the case of ammonia, or it can be in the case of HCl, which is the hydrochloric acid. The third is the reaction mixture will only contain monomers. So polymers are nothing but the monomeric growing chain. However, all the molecular species will be present at every stage of polymerization. If, for example, I'm combining two different monomers, so they will be present at stage 1, stage 2, and the final stage of the polymer formation. So the commonest example that you have seen is PVC, which is called as what? Polyvinyl chloride. And the second one is called as Teflon, which is formed by the technique of addition polymerization. And the second, or the examples of condensation polymers, if I talk about, is nothing but the nylon 66 that you wear, and or you take it in the ropes form, or the fishnets that are formed of nylon 66, and obviously bakelite, the plates or the crockeries that you would have seen at your place. So that is again formed by the technique or the condensation polymerization, which is nothing but the step growth polymerization technique. So in this a quick revision of what all we have started today, we have started the different types of polymers, that is addition and condensation polymers, and then we have already studied about the difference of the addition and the condensation polymerization technique, which is frequently asked as per your Gujarat University syllabus. So I'm sure you would be studying and going through it once again. In the coming lecture, we'll be studying in detail the addition polymerization technique. Till then, stay safe, keep on revising, and enjoy.